All right, you're live now.
Oh, well, what's up?
How's it going? How's everybody doing this evening? Just wanted to kind of chat up some markets. We talked about some more stuff coming. We're gonna be trying to do some streaming, do some things, move forward, and try to, if we can get profits to be kind of on board, try to make this a regular thing. Like every single night for the rest of our life, if we get that to be a thing. But let's kind of get into a couple of things. There's some interesting stuff. Kind of going on in the space. What do you think of the first Cyborg launched meme coin that profits?
I'm confused still. I still don't understand why it ran or the lore or anything. I don't get it. What's a cyborg?
I found it kind of funny. The people that were like trying to ask questions, but trying to make it sound bullish. I was just like,
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know, man.
come on. You know what it is. We're trying to pump our bags here. Um, but I don't get it. I don't understand the lore that was. I don't get it. I genuinely don't.
Yeah, it's definitely a different type of market, I think, in a lot of ways. There's a lot of people that are doing anything, I think, right now to try and catch any bit of liquidity that they can get. And I think like if you're chasing at this point in the market, you're kind of gonna have issues. You're gonna probably lose money. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but that's my thoughts, man. I don't see it. I don't see the point in it right now. The trenches are very low liquidity. When you see something pump, you want to talk about it, I guess, for attention. But the reality is, as far as liquidity goes, it's a thin liquidity pool right now. So it's a hard thing to say that these things will continue to run after they do run. We talked about this earlier tonight too. I think on the spaces where we discussed like basically that a lot of this stuff, even though it runs, it's gonna end up coming back down relatively quickly.
Yeah.
We'll see. About 8K worth of STX at 176. How good? Yeah, we could we'll take a look at STX. We'll check out. So I do think that fundamental coins, RWA plays, different sectors, L1s. I think that the market's going to start shifting in that direction relatively soon. I don't think memes are cooked. I think like what we're seeing is a big washout, but I don't think that the meme coin market is cooked. I do think like if you're hyper, moved on volume and flows at the moment, you're probably looking at things, from that perspective, and you're like, okay, from a volume and flow perspective, means might be the play, that the trenches might be the play, but you have to be in the mindset if you're playing the trenches to be kind of in and out, right? You want to get in, you want to get, and you've done a pretty good job at that too, Profits. That's something else I've seen, being able to identify trends from time to time and get in them and get out of them within a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, I think so for the longest time, I think in Web3, the problem was in 2021 was there was really good NFT projects, and then every so often there was bad ones, right? Rugs. Fast forward to now, memes are regular, are accepted, or it's more like accepted to talk about stuff on your timeline and not be called like a rugger or like a shiller. But it's interesting seeing it now opposed to the last even year, where it's like very shot, very desperate. Very, it kind of reminds me of like 2022 when before a pump fund was out. So we're like in that in between where, because like the trenches term, I feel like came like birth in the last like year and a half, 2 years, because there is an active like a casino in a way, like a sector where you can hang out and throw at and bid, and it's not totally PvP, right? Whereas now it's kind of drying a little bit. I think for now, I don't think it dries. I don't think meme coins are. I don't think pump fund launches are done. I don't know if I necessarily agree with them. My wallet does when we win, when we guess on the right ones. But yeah, like to say, if that makes sense, like now that it's kind of like after this whole Trump launch and a lot of stuff got like completely just dried out and just rinsed. Now you're seeing that back to because that's when I would call stuff out. Where now I'm like, oh, I'll play along. I'm not too totally opposed to it, but now it's like a sticky game. And now I'm like watching some people. I'm like, come on, this is not going anywhere. We don't have to pump something every night. That's like a whole other convo, right? But I'll digress.
Yeah, what do you think about the patience of the market? I think it's very lacking. Everybody's like very attention driven to run to the next thing each day.
I'm not at the club, Jordan. I'm in my office. I just don't know how to change this setting. I don't know where the remote is. I don't know how to change this setting. I'm sorry. What'd you ask me?
No, I meant like the attention of the market. It just seems so all over the place. Like it's like nobody really wants to sit still and hold their bags. They just want to keep moving. I mean, I saw that Murad also that this was pretty interesting. I think he was worth 50 mil. Now he's worth 30, and he hasn't sold anything, right? And a lot of people are still panicking and kind of moving around and shifting their liquidity around.
20 M's down is crazy. I think the attention is everywhere, and I'm honestly less interested. I can't say I'm not interested. I mean, I talk about it. I'm less surprised now when sorry, this dog runs my life here. This is Luna, everybody. Hey, you want to say hi to everybody? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think the fact that I think the fact that like look at all the good news around crypto right now in the new like on our news, like just all the good stuff, and people are still unhappy on the timeline, right? And that's just an indicator that dopamine levels are shot. Gambling energy is at an all-time high. So yeah, like you said, energy and attention is all over, and I'm not like I can't say interested, but I'm not like as phased by CT as I used to be, especially like building a startup now within Web3, building my own business within Web3. Like I'm doing real things. You're doing real things. Like people around me are doing real things within this Web3 world, within tech. So like I'm like really like starting to become even more unfazed by like the opinions on the timeline, no matter how big the account is or how much the engagement is,
Yeah, I think a lot of people they see big drops in crypto and they tend to think things are over from time to time too. That's something else I've kind of noticed. It's a very emotionally driven. Like you have to have like literal ice in your veins to be able to withstand some of these drops. Like they can be really gut wrenching when you see a big capitulation, like what happened the other day with ETH. What were your thoughts with that capitulation move with ETH?
Well, when I first saw it, I got a little nervous. It's funny because we were on the phone. We don't ever even have like calls like that. Like it's so funny how that happened at that moment. But I was a little nervous until I started to like do some research, right? Listen to you and understand like macro, but like technically ETH made just a new yearly low if you think about it. Or I don't know if it's new. I mean, you tell me, but it made it low is what I'm trying to say. So at first, I think I got nervous, and then when I just dove deeper and zoomed out, I was like, well, it was kind of quick and it was kind of crazy, but let's be real, this is crypto. So I think because I've seen this before where it was actually much worse, I wasn't as phased, especially now, like understanding how macro works and what's actually going on. Look how quick the recovery came. Granted, where's ETH right now?
2,700.
Yeah, like if ETH was 22 right now, I would still be feeling the same way. Like I don't think there's much to worry about. I see why people are worried, but I don't know. I don't see much to be worried about.
Yeah, I was looking at it kind of like this, and this is something that we were kind of chatting about when we were talking on the phone. And I was like, okay, I was like, this is like a high liquidity zone, right? So like a lot of people, because there was a mention of it, and that's why I wanted to kind of bring it up. A lot of people don't really understand this, but you have like a kind of a point of control of liquidity, right? And you saw price kind of run that liquidity and run the low. and then it basically kind of flipped that, used it as support. The same, and it's funny because it's the same range, right? It's relatively the same range, and use it as a support range to kind of hold. And that was the same resistance you saw right here too with this, right? So you kind of really had issues here. So for me, this is why I told you I wouldn't even worry about it. I was just kind of looking at it like this. I was like, okay, this is more of like a point of control. And for those who don't know what a point
You
of
weren't
control
even worried when that support line broke?
Nah, because the thing is like when you set up a trend, right? Like this was my thoughts. When you set up a trend, now granted, price did pull back above this trend, but that doesn't matter to me anymore because once you break it, right? If you're continuing to look at it like this after it broke trend, you're coping, right? But I'm not a coper. I tend to come back to the chart and I try to revisit, and I'm like, all right, what did I get wrong here? And then so when I saw that break, I then immediately looked for the next support, right? The horizontal. And once I saw the horizontal, I was like, okay, there's a lot of liquidity here, 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 here. Did I get it wrong that the trend would hold forever? Yes, I did get that wrong. But once I saw the liquidity flow and where everything was kind of pushing into, I was just like, okay, I was like, yeah, I got this part wrong, but at the end of the day, we stopped where we should have stopped, right? We didn't go deeper than where our support range was. And so for me, I was just like, this is why I went long. Like when we were talking about it, I was like, I got to go long on this. I was like, this shit literally just retested the low here. So, when I saw it, I was like, you know what? I was like, I got to open some longs here. So I took long positions once I saw this big drop, and then they ate this up quickly. Now, granted, you can see here, like I had this already drawn out. Like I think because I drew this after this broke, by the way. I think that what'll happen is this will slow bleed into this range and then push back off of it. That's my thoughts overall. The cycle's a little weird. It's a little weird, but it's I think it'll, result in the same thing it ends up with every 4-year cycle. If the 4-year cycle breaks, ultimately I have to come back to the drawing board. I just have to redo my whole thesis. But that's what you do as a trader is you look at it and you try and evaluate it and you try and get it right. And sometimes you get it wrong and then you just have to come back to it and redo it again. Right. And a lot of people don't realize, like, this is the funny part too. A lot of people don't realize, like, Profits does trade too. So, and I think that people don't really look at her like that because she talks about other things. But she does a pretty good job. And I think she handles her emotions better than most guys I know. I'll tell you that.
I'm not confident in talking about it the way you do, if I'm being honest. That's why I appreciate you for like your insight, because I think we have a good dynamic with like super technical and then like dumb it down. I love to say, like, I love dumbing it down, because I appreciate stuff dumbed down for me. But I'm not as confident as talking about it as I am like trading the market, if that makes sense. And I'm pretty sure it's because of the basics of what I learned from like, Forex days and everything like that. I was going to ask you something actually. How productive is it? Like I see, what I see actually, I was actually saying this to a couple people I know that I think they're trench warriors, but they actually win. They're and they're not like slimy people or anything like that. Like they're decent people. They have a good thesis on the market. They have a good like a good set of trading rules, if you will, but they don't trade perps or long or short or anything like that. And I feel like what's going to happen with those kind of traders, they're going to try to pivot to trading perps and trading the market traditionally. I highly recommend that, actually. What do you think about that?
I honestly, like, I think they'll get washed their first cycle, but it's a good learning lesson. Like, I mean, I think my first cycle I lost almost 20K. And that was just,
from leverage trading.
Yeah, and that was just because I was learning the ropes on the volatility, right? And that's the part that a lot of people have a hard time with in this market is they don't understand the volatility. This is why you'll see a lot of people come in from stocks and they'll be like, I'm going back to stocks, F this place. Because it just moves way faster, right? Like and what I mean by faster is stuff like this, right? You just don't see this shit coming. It's not like stock markets. Like they'll halt stocks if they end up kind of dropping like this. So they don't see this shit coming, and then they get liquidated. And then they don't see this pump coming, right? And then they think it'll go up forever, and then they get dumped on again, and they get liquidated again. So they catch the long right, so probably somewhere's in the mid candle, thinking that they had the momentum on their side, and then they get liquidated a second time trying to come in on this. And this is the problem with this market, is it's very funky in the way that it moves. And market makers make it practically impossible for your average person to leverage trade this market. And I would ideally say that there are people that have refined the trenches so well that they own the trenches, and your average person is just not going to make money there, even though they're promised they can. That's the hard part. I also see a lot of people trying to push groups and stuff like that, and try and push group liquidity and stuff like that. That's something else I've seen kind of playing, especially this market.
That's what I'm saying. Like that, all that bullshit, when you can just learn the trait itself of understanding basic skill set of trading, and then you can trade any market. Like, I'm sure if I went back to trading Forex, I'd be pretty decent. I genuinely don't care to. I get enough dopamine and fucking rush from crypto trading. But like, and I find opportunities there, but I don't know. That's not all of them. Some of these people deserve to get rinsed.
Yeah. And
cherish your Solana or your ETH. You deserve to be rinsed.
Yeah, I think if you come in with size, it's much easier to operate in this space too. A lot of people are trying to get size, and the market is not being very kind to people that are coming and trying to create size, right? It's only being kind to those with size. So you get people coming in with a couple million, get a 35% move, exit with their, 2,500 million, or 2.5 million, and then they move on to the next play. And basically all the people that were looking for a 10x, 20x, 100x right now are basically getting washed, because this coin will pump like 35%, 50%, 220%, and then go right back to zero immediately. So they're not making anything right now.
I have
your smaller players.
I have a general overall question, and then I'm gonna have to go over there with her for a second. What, like this comment here, I see this a lot, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I think meme coins are killing the cycle. There's so many of them, and all they do is steal liquidity. It's extremely frustrating. So knowing what you've known over the years you've been in crypto, I don't know, a couple of years, a couple of cycles, knowing that, plus the nuance of new things like meme coins, like pump fund products that make it very simple for things to launch and for people to go put their liquidity there. What's your take on that? Knowing that no matter what, things are going to change, and let's be real, it was never only going to be Bitcoin and ETH. It was never only going to be that. Maybe most trusted, I guess. That's arguably, I don't know. But it was never only going to be those two, knowing what crypto was going to be when we first heard about it years ago. So I don't know. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think people tend to forget about DeFi summer, right? Prior to 2021, they meme coins are basically just DeFi summer right now. That's all they are. It's just a different cycle of different things, and it's a way to draw on liquidity, right? And I don't think that they're killing the market necessarily. They are killing the people thinking that they're going to make millions right now, but you have to wait for that momentum.
Not the market itself. The people, the participators,
the participants. Yeah, those are the ones getting wrecked. No, you're good. But yeah, they're the ones getting wrecked right now. But participants will win when the momentum's here. They just got to learn to not get caught up in the bullshit, not get caught up in the hype, not get caught up in the super cycle conversations, and stay focused that, hey, once I make a bag, I need to, do some stuff with that bag, not just leave it in here and get wrecked with everybody else. I truly, and I've said this many times, but I'll say it again here. I truly don't believe that the market is just dead and done, and that meme coins have wrecked the market, and that there's no possibility of a future here. I've seen, plenty of coins like here. I'll give you guys an example. Like, and these are things that, I've talked about in the past, and I've told you guys, hey, this is a buy. Look at Sui here, right? Like this Now, some people will be sitting there like, oh yeah, I always talk about Sui. You wouldn't have any issues with your bag right now, like zero issues with your bag right now, if you had been focusing here versus focusing the trenches for a lot of people. Now, a lot of people are like, well, that's hindsight. But I was telling people to bid here. That wasn't hindsight. That was foresight. And it's the same thing with like things like Jasmine. It's the same thing with things like Palantir, right? That was another one I was talking about almost a couple years. It feels like yesterday, but a couple of years ago. And and even I've told people like Aptos, Algorand, like these are still, you can still see the trading range is really good here. Like there's a lot going on, and people are so hyper focused on the fastest possible way to make money, right? We could talk about the hype. Don't get me wrong. Like I talk about hype because I think there are going to be some runners when it comes to the meme coin cycle, but it's always the stuff that everybody gets blindsided by. Everybody wants to talk about the next. I don't even want to use the word cabal coin. I think it's such a lame term that a lot of people say the cabal coin, but there is a hot ball of money flowing around this space, pumping tokens and dumping them. There is a hot ball of money doing that, and I don't know if it's like I don't. I think a lot of people.
Is it moving? Sorry to cut you off. When you say that, is it moving relevant liquidity, or is it just moving a couple $100K?
Well, that's the tough part. I think it is moving into specific meme coins, pumping them and dumping them. And I know a lot of people like, well, Frank, well, this, well, that, well, Thread Guy. I think they have their finger on the trigger and know where to move, but I don't think they're the ones doing it, if that makes sense. Because they wouldn't be making money if they're the ones pumping it. That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. Like it's a hard conversation to have with people because people see Frank making a lot of money. They see Thread Guy making a lot of money. What Frank and Thread Guy and all those guys have created is they've created a collective. Yeah, they have done that. But that's just a bunch of guys operating with big bags together to, hold a market cap up, and then eventually it goes down. It is what it is. And those are different than the hot ball of money I'm talking about. The hot ball of money I'm talking about is just this random ass coins popping up. We get, I don't even know if I should even mention the one we're talking about. First fucking coin launched by a cyborg goes to $1 million, like in liquidity. Like that's a hot ball of money moving in, to take advantage of it.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a Frank or a Thread Guy or any of that. And that's why like when people say things like that, it's like, I don't know if your take is really kind of on par with the market. They're following the money, that they're following the hot ball of money, really. Whereas like if you look at something like, these coins that just pop up out of nowhere and do this, it's very apparent what's going on there. And so what I would tell people is don't chase those, right? Don't chase the hot ball of money. You either front run it or you don't. That's how this works. And a lot of people don't want to front run. They want to jump into the hype. Like nobody wants to prep the party profits. Nobody wants to set the party up. They just want to come once the party started. Right? Even if that's toward the end of the night. Well, the best part of the party is setting it up, knowing where everything is. You can get to the drinks and everything else first because you know where everything's at, right? When you come in later, you have to figure out where everything's at. You're going to be late, and maybe you miss out on your favorite drink because it's already out. And I think that when you look at it from that perspective, it's like you want to be early to all this stuff. I mean, that's how like the 100Xs, the 1000Xs, like, and I'm not bragging. I'm just trying to explain how I got to the ones that I've gotten so far this cycle. I got those through truly just like trench digging somewhat, but finding coins that were down.
Like Brody?
Yeah, I mean, like, we've talked about it before. I think a lot of people think I'm bragging about it, but, like the Crody, the GMEs, the Soul Chat that was like 1400X. Like there was so many different plays that I got into because I just had more foresight than the rest of the market. Now, granted, anybody can do that. That's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand. It's just, can you buy and hold and wait for the market to move? Can you buy low and understand it's going higher, right? And there'll be a hype around it. Some people will say, oh, well, you got lucky. Well, I didn't get lucky 7 times on 100X plays, 100x plus plays. That's not even possible. The probability of most people is probably 100x play this cycle, maybe 2, right? At most. And so if you were to do an odds, I have a high odd hit chance based on that. Are there other players in the market that have that kind of odds? Yeah, but it's a rarity. It's really a rarity of people that are actually doing that. And I think like right now, the best thing people can do at the moment, while Bitcoin's doing what it's doing and people are scared of tariffs and all this other shit, is bid stuff that you feel confident in and hold it. And don't look at the volatility. The volatility is going to kill you mentally. That's where a lot of people have a hard time dealing with this market. Can you at the end of the day, could you it was like 20 of those. Could you come in and trench dive and make money day by day and all that stuff? Sure. But if you haven't got I would almost say a collective group of intelligent people around you doing the same thing, you're going to have a hard time operating. It's going to be really difficult as an individual to make it in these markets. The only reason that I do is because like I'm not even saying like I'm the smartest or any of that stuff. I just have kind of a niche for it, right? Like I've been in the game for like 10 years as far as trading, more than that now, almost 11, 12, but I've been trading for a long time. And it's, it just comes second nature to me to not care about the volatility. I don't care if I'm down 90%. Other people are, you could hear the emotion through the speaker, right? When they talk, they're so upset because they lost X amount of money. It's like, well, then it's probably your exposure. Your exposure is too high, right? These are things that a lot of people don't talk about either. Is like, how do you spread out your exposure? And I think like even if we looked at probably nothing and what they posted the other night on the stream, that was an interesting post too. I think a lot of people didn't look at that for what it was. Did you see the whiteboard there profits that they had on there?
Yeah, the 70% and then the 30% to the other stuff. Yeah.
That was actually not a bad spread.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not talking about the MLG with that kind of
money, but with that kind of money, 70% of Bitcoin and anything at that point, it doesn't fucking matter what you do with the 30%. You should have exposure to everything else to just say that you do have it. So I agree. Yeah. That wasn't rocket science there.
And that wasn't even the hot take. The hot take was everybody taking a snippet of Frank and saying, "Oh, look, he's back here rugging Aiden in the back selling on."
No, I think that was just a couple of bad Twitter accounts that got out of hand. I don't think overall. Also, there was a kid, I guess, another streamer that like clipped that piece that's like viral too, and like try to like make a joke. And so I think I could see where the rumor went away there as well from those. I guess I don't know. I hear this whole I don't know this onboarding thing. I don't get it. Like you can't like say you're expecting that and then you're not going to get the bad part of all that. You're going to get the horrible scammer, blah, 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 blah. Like to this day on Instagram with my NFT PFP, I can comment back on some type of fucking debate on some shit. It could be on anything. It could be literally on anything. And they're like, shut the fuck up. You like NFTs. Like, what the fuck? Damn, it has nothing to do with this rap song. Like, or whatever the hell is the topic. Like, wild times. Wild fucking time. If you guys have anything you want us to look at, go ahead and put it in. I'm gonna go pour me a drink for real fast. But yeah, if you guys have anything you guys want to like look at us to look at, we'll check it out. Don't show us anything that's like a fucking micro cap bullshit. We don't want to see it. We don't give a fuck about it. Are you talking, Will? I can't hear you. I can't hear you, buddy.
Yeah, I think I like drink and then replugged it back in. That was
okay.
But yeah, so price target on Sui. Somebody asked. I'm looking ideally for 710. I'd like to see 20. To be honest with you, if we can get there, that'd be amazing. Because multi-millionaire, that boy. But we don't talk about it. But yeah, that's if we can get the 20, yeah, that's the play. But yeah, so I think realistically though, 710. I'm not gonna sit here and pump you guys into all hell and tell you some BS and then have you get rugged ultimately when the market keels over. Let's see here. This one's pretty interesting too. and I find it funny because this was Coinbase stock was operating very similar to ETH, and so they had such a good attunement as far as trend until ETH broke trend and did all of its thing. Somebody asked earlier too, like, do I think that the full wick will get filled here on ETH? I don't know that it will, right? So wick fills are a little funny. They can sometimes fill halfway, and they can sometimes fill all the way. So you just have to understand once you get to like halfway to all the way, you should be kind of dialing in, right? You shouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna wait till we go all the way, and then be like, all right, I'm dialing in. Like this is like your dial in zone. But realistically, they could hold here too, right? Because they're just above these two candles right here, which has also provided support over here. So it's kind of a tough spot, but I would think ideally we'll probably bleed into this range and then go from there. I truly do think that this range holds though because of this specifically. I think the support here is so strong in this range. Although I didn't like seeing ETH necessarily move the way it moved, but it almost looked like it wanted to go off of that original trend, but then just stopped, right? And kind of fell over here. And this is really the fear for a lot of people. A lot of people are like, well, it's cooked, it's over, because they're looking at it like this, and they're like, oh, resistance, 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 and then all this resistance and all this resistance, and they're like, oh, it's done. It ain't going any higher. But the way I look at this, and I'll just tell you guys, is I don't look at it like that. I look at it like this, because you could say resistance so many times, and then you have to start saying basically that the market is pressuring the high, right? You had too many retests now to say this is really resistance. What this is telling me is that there was a block of money up here willing to sell at these prices, and they're slowly chipping away at your sellers up here, right? Because they continue to retest that high, which is something that you should really kind of pay attention to when you're looking at these markets from that perspective. The retest over retest over retest over retest is telling me that, hey, I need to keep on watching this. This thing's going to break out eventually. So the second I think that we get back up here, I don't think there'll be a bunch of sellers sitting here waiting to sell ETH back down. I think likely we'll end up kind of pushing through this range right here that we're noticing, right? And same range you saw right here. I think we'll end up pushing back through that. And then when ETH does do that, I think you'll see a big push to the upside. I honestly think this like ETH is going to be it's going to be a cook this cycle. I think, anywhere from like, probably roughly about 10K to 14K, I think will be your ETH top for the cycle. So all you got to do is basically retest that high. Bitcoin specifically, I mean, not much has changed here. This is something I posted the other day on Twitter. This one's been pretty interesting too. Basically, price came up, retested, bear market, right? Price came up, retest, bear market. And now we're kind of just breaking out of all-time high, right? Just breaking out all-time high. Just breaking out all-time high. Every time you just start to break out of all-time high, you usually have quite a bit of upside for each peak after each cycle. And here's one that goes back even further to kind of give you that, that whole picture, holistic picture. Now, a lot of people will be like, well, it could change this time. Yeah, and I mean, at some point we could probably fly. But guess what? We haven't evolved that far in life yet. And what I mean is with our arms. So, before somebody says with a plane.
I haven't heard about Illuvium in a minute.
Bro, that shit's
I hope you're able to get out of that position ASAP, brother.
Yeah, I mean, we could take a look at Illuvium. That one's been pretty interesting. I did buy pretty low on that, but it hasn't got the movement. I'll be real, like I bought a lot of gaming stuff through the bear. I've held a lot of gaming stuff, and it just has not. It's not been the play. It might become the play for a short period, and I thought I could capitalize on it this cycle, and I may still be able to because I haven't sold any of it. I thought I could capitalize on it this cycle sooner, but I think it's going to be very much like 2021, where like that it was basically February, March, and then the gaming sector, NFT sector started to spark, right? And you could really sell shit for a ton. Like I was selling for like 3-4 ETH some of my NFTs that I had from gaming. So with that being said, like we'll probably get a mini cycle on gaming, but as soon as you see the gaming cycle, just start selling to everybody. Don't hold nothing. Like literally just sell the whole gaming sector immediately. Like if you get a big pump on gaming, a lot of attention, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. If people start buying your NFTs that you bought for $50 for like 10K, 20K, 30K, 40K, sell that shit. Sell it. I don't know what your thoughts are, Profits.
No, it's good advice. I mean, we didn't come in here to fucking hold it forever,
Yeah. Pass it to the next person. All right. Pass it on over. Let them have it. If it doesn't come to fruition, guess you're just holding the bag with the gaming, right?
There's somebody
it's a tough one.
There's somebody that dumped that $100,000 Bitcoin that bought Bitcoin for $500 in 2014. And he was happy to do so. And you were happy to buy it, right? Same shit, right?
Yep. Same shit. But you can see right here, again, bull, bear. And I even outlined the timelines on here for you guys, bull, bear. And then, basically bull. I mean, we're like right here. If we go the same time as we did previously, we still have months and months and months of potential upside, maybe trading sideways for a bit here too, right? And then possibly some upside after trading sideways for a bit. But I think we have at least till the end of the year before we can officially say we're cooked, right? And that's my thoughts. A lot of people are in this boat that we're going to have like this lull period for the whole year, and that we're going to drop and then we're going to pump next year. I don't think that's the case at all.
I feel like, I agreed. I agree with that. It's hard to, okay, I'm trying to make an example because now I've been here for a couple of cycles and now I remember certain feelings. I remember the feeling of a $60,000 Bitcoin and we were like euphoric of it going to 100, not realizing we were at the last couple of months of the cycle. Do you know what I'm saying? You remember that? November 2021? I keep remembering this, or November.
Remember the Discord when I told them start selling?
Yes.
And they said Bitcoin's going to 100K?
Yes, it was around that same time. And I remember being at like parties and events and like everybody, like crypto stuff, right? Everybody was like 100K. And it felt like right. And now I'm like, damn. How did I not see that? Because now you see Bitcoin hanging out at 100K for what? It's been 6 months now or something? Mm-hmm. No, it's been like 4 months.
Yeah, it hasn't been much. It's been roughly 4 months.
But I guess what I'm getting at is like it's really obvious now to see like we're not in that much longer, even though a year is kind of long, but this 10 months is going to go by really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be straight to 200 or 150 or whatever the top is. It's going to, right? It's a lot of this. And then before you know, that's it. It's done. So that's why I just take advantage of the opportunities now.
Every single time, Profits, people always miss the parabolic move into the drop, right? And then you get past the mid mark, the previous market top right here, parabolic move into the drop. Get past the mid marker, previous top, parabolic move, and then the drop.
The parabolic move last time in 2021 was when?
When did we start doing the parabolic move?
Yeah.
November, December.
And those moves are quick, huh?
Mm-hmm. And you can see right here in November we already started, right? And now we're in basically December, January. Now, what this could be is some form of, basically here's what I think, Profit. See this right here?
Yes.
I think that's what's occurring right now, right? Just from higher. This little inkling of sideways price action into parabolic move. So a lot of people aren't really looking at that. They're just, they're fearful because they haven't got their, on time pump action. But if you look here, like we had this little sideways lull before we broke out, and now we're kind of having this little sideways lull just a little higher, right? And I think this is more because the market basically front ran itself originally. Like there was a lot. I mean, the market flipped quicker than it ideally should have, right? As far as time wise, I started kind of bidding into this though, this drawdown, because I saw that we were starting to slow. RSI stochastic were starting to bottom. For me, it was pretty obvious that we were gonna come down. I mean, to me, I think the market still continues to hover, right? Push up on the stochastic monthly. And then we kind of play the high up here, which we're not even at yet. And then same thing with RSI. I think we still have plenty of room on the RSI here because this is the test of every cycle. High right here, high right here, high right here. And you can see the trend. This is every single cycle in basically in order, right? So a lot of people haven't like really put in the time to really kind of evaluate the market. But I've had this here for a long time because this is what I use as my kind of bread and butter is your high marker is very obvious. We never even came close to this. Not even fucking close to this on the monthly. And so as you can see right here, I think if we went like super bullish, we could probably exceed it a little bit and then start to drop. But the bear for me isn't even in the back of my mind because the strength hasn't gone ballistic yet. Once strength starts reaching above like 90, then I would start to be like, all right, time to take hands off a little bit. Let's take some liquidity out of the market because people are too euphoric, right? The strength barometer is a good way to tell how euphoric people are. And it's a lot more current as far as price action. It's not really a lagging, it's more of a leading price action type of indicator.
That's good. Good indicator there. I will honestly say at the time I was just happy to be up. And it's what I was telling you on the phone call we had the other day where I remember back then I felt like everything came and happened so quick and I feel like I didn't take advantage of the market the way I really wanted to. And now I'm like I'm way less emotionally attached. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
I remember holding on to my Chainlink coin so tight.
Emotion just can't really play a part. That's the thing that a lot of people don't get. Like investing's a tough game because most people can't hold. That's the only reason why it's hard. It's not hard because buying and selling, manipulation, or none of that shit. It's hard because people go in, they see their portfolio, they've been in something for a week, and they think it's dead. It's like, well, then if you thought it was going to die, why did you buy it in the first place?
They gambled.
They saw a big green candle. They bought the green candle, thinking the green candle was going to be a bigger green candle. And then they got a cool down phase after a euphoric phase. And then they gave up. They left. They moved on to the next coin. And then they missed out on 150x, 200x, 500x because that coin subsequently likely pumped directly after they sold.
Right.
Maybe not the minute they sold, maybe not the day after they sold, but it could be a month, 2 months, 3 months after they sold. And a lot of the time those people like, and I've had tons of people come to me like, man, I was in that. I wish I didn't sell. And I'm just like, that's part of the game. You either got to hold or you got to fold. If you fold, don't even look back at the chart. No point even entertaining it.
What makes you? No, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say if you made money on it, you can likely still benefit from it, right? Because if you could start to recognize patterns, like I've been in and out of the same coins multiple times, just knowing the pattern of what they're gonna do, but still expecting the bigger move, right? I just made a lot of money initially out the original 100x, and I'm like, all right, sold. All right, now it's probably time to wait, let this thing cool down for a bit, and then come back in later. And then I come back in later and add to the position.
What was I gonna ask you? Damn.
You said what makes me what?
Oh, what makes you like last cycle? What made you confident about what you were calling last cycle? Like like tops and everything. Is it the same indicators for this cycle or different?
No, it's different. So last cycle was actually. I'm just gonna come out and say it was really easy. It was really freaking easy to call the top, and it's not because of the hype. It's not. I mean, the hype it plays a factor, right? But the hype was there for a long time, so it was kind of hard to tell. Okay, when is the party actually music gonna actually stop because everybody's still dancing? And but the part that got me, and I'll tell you the part that clicked in my head, and it's gonna be a part that a lot of people they just didn't pay attention to. But it was when the Fed came in and said that inflation was transitory and we were pushing 9%. And I was just like, absolutely fucking not. I'm like, this the Fed is lying. I'm like, they're straight up lying. I'm like, there's no way that inflation is transitory at 9%. I'm like, it's absolutely impossible. Granted, I think when he first said it, it was like 7, right? Or pushing 7. And I was just like, no. I was like, inflation is going to keep going up. I was like, eventually they're going to have to come in and curb inflation. And how are they going to do that? They're going to do that with rate hikes. So they lied to the market. The Fed actually lied to the market. I don't care what anybody says. The Fed lied to the market, told the market that inflation was transitory, so the market would not panic sell off. Because if a lot more people knew that inflation was a problem and that they were going to raise rates, a lot more people would have gotten out. Only the big heads got out. That's it. That's all that got out in 2021. I'm not saying like I'm the big head. I put 2 and 2 together, right? And I was like, this dude's lying. I'm like, we gotta start selling. I'm like, because rate hikes are always bad. I don't care what market you look at. Go to any market in the past where we've had rate hikes. They're always bad. You can have cuts, but you cannot have hikes. And the worst place to have hikes is at the peak FOMO of a market. You do not want hikes after a market just went absolutely ballistic, because that will create a big cool down phase.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
This cycle, I don't have that to lean on. I won't lie. Like I don't. The only thing I have to lean on, I'll tell you, is oil and the dollar. That's what I'll lean on pretty heavily this cycle. But I think the dollar is very overheated. And that's why I think like assets are the play and high risk is the play, because the dollar is pressuring really high. And, if you look at something like Dixie here, to me, I think this thing's about to fold. I really think the dollar is about to fold. Now, one thing that we likely don't want to see is we don't want to see us start heading this direction with the dollar, right? Because, look what year that is, right? It's 2008. You start depreciating dollar to this degree, you have your trend up and then you have your breakdown. You want your breakdown to continue to bounce the trend. But if you start to head this way with the dollar, likely you'll end up somewhere down here in another 2008 event, right? And ideally, looking at our current high, if they really pressure dollar strength, they could push up to here. They could. I think the more likely play, will be, either a lower high structure here or some kind of push up to this high. And then what you don't want to see is you don't want to see the dollar fold from there. Because if you go below this current trend right here, just like this trend right here, you go below this current trend, ideally, I think the market will get fucking absolutely blown out somewhere down here. You'll have a profitable year. And a great example of that, what I'm talking about with this is the SPY, right? But you didn't really make a lot in the SPY. You had your 00 crash, brought you down here, and then you were able to make money in the market all the way up until 08, and then they took it all away even worse this time, right? And so when you get depreciating dollars to the degree that we're talking about, a topping dollar, right? A topping dollar results in this. That's 2000. And then a bottoming dollar results in this. That's 08. Now, if we look at 2008 on the dollar over here, then we can really get a bigger picture of what's actually going on. Because where's 2000? 2000 is your top over here. 08 is your top over here. And where are we at? We're really close to an 00 crash, right? If you look at it from that perspective, that's what I think will be our indicator for the cycle. I think 2026 we get the 00 crash, right? And I'm not saying like it's going to be, the .com bubble or anything like that. It's obviously always something different. But the way the dollar strength is buttoning up here to be able to bring pricing down, the only way I can see it is to do what Trump is doing, which is the trade wars, right? That's what we'll call them, the tariffs, the trade wars. And when he's doing that, what's ideally, potentially could happen to markets is, you're gonna see a lot of people, a lot of countries sell off the dollar because they're gonna be pissed. They're not gonna have confidence in it, or you'll have the inverse effect, which a lot of people aren't considering either, which means he bullies them into buying dollar, right? And forces all of our manufacturing back to us, which causes a big spending spree. You'll see the market pop the fuck off, but eventually it will turn into an implosion, right?
Mm-hmm.
The dollar here is going to be, it's a big indicator for me. It's a really big, but I'm looking at it, as you can see, from a bigger view than what everybody else is looking at, because everybody else, when they look at dollar, they're like, oh, dollar can go up to here. Dollar going up here doesn't fucking matter. What matters is, what's your potential here? What's your likeliness? Yeah, you could probably hit this high, but this is what you want to watch out for, right? And you do want to watch out for this high too, because again, when we got up here in 00, that was your .com bubble, right? The whole market basically imploded. And, if we end up doing that again and we start hitting dollar up here again, which I think we're a little ways away, that's why I think like this is your last leg in the market before you gotta exit. That's really what it is. So I'm taking advantage of it. And I think like housing is about to get affordable again and everything else.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
in a negative way for housing markets, obviously, but it looks like it's shaping up to be that direction.
Wow, man. Luna is, I don't know what's up, man. Like, you were good all day. You went out and everything. I don't know why you're bothering me right now.
She knows there's people watching.
It's so weird. Even on Spaces, I normally do Spaces. Well, I did them in the living room today, but I was in my office most of the day and she wasn't bothering me. Normally she bothers me when I'm in this office. Anyway, these are going to be pretty much, I'm not going to lie, this is easy. We're going to do this every night.
That's what I was saying, see?
You know what it is? It's because it's more chill and it's like people are like watching us. Like we can start like dancing on stream, you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas the Spaces, it's like, since there's no video, it's a little different. So we're gonna go now. But no, I think this is, I think these are gonna be great. I'm excited. Beebs in the
just
trap.
So the audience knows, Prophet said we're gonna be doing this every night. So make sure if it doesn't happen, you guys go to her Twitter and harass her.
No, it is. And I like and an abstract everywhere. Breezy, appreciate you over here on Abstract. Beebs in the trap. Make sure you follow Will on Twitter and subscribe. That's how you can directly support him right now.
Yeah. As of
website
now,
coming soon.
the main play. But I do for the audience's sake, so you guys do. I do keep my subscription prices low, so I want to be able to make sure that anybody and everybody can have access to basically information that they really should understand better. And I think this stuff is the stuff that a lot of people don't understand me on. Like, is like, I understand these markets from this higher level, and not just meme coinology and not just fundamental crypto, and like I understand the market as a whole from that aspect. And I think like everybody should understand it from this aspect, because if you understand this, you can understand kind of tops, bottoms, so on and so forth. It may take you, maybe like half a decade. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot. Trust me. maybe somewhere's in that range. And once you get to that point, you can really get a good grasp on the markets and understand what you're looking at and where you should be looking to be dialing out, where you should be looking to dial in. I mean, the dollar and a lot of other things really helped me in this cycle catch this low. Like this, I only caught this low because of a few things. One being the dollar oil The other being stochastic and RSI, right? And we also had like a bull div playing right down here on the weekly, which was really strong. You know, and I think like a lot of people were not willing to bid this bull div here on the weekly. And I was like, oh shit, bull div, I need to just be buying, because even if the market was going to remain bearish, usually a bull div will end up in results in something like this and then a big bounce, right? And even if it were going to come back down, I could take advantage of this whole leg here. And that's typically what I'm looking for. So I buy all the way into the div and then, you know, look to take it. That's 100% move. But once I saw Bitcoin kind of doing this and then this, right? And then I looked at it from a holistic standpoint, we'll remove everything here. We'll get rid of these MAs real quick. And I started looking at it from a holistic standpoint. And I was okay, where's liquidity and why are we bouncing here? I then saw these two areas right in here. And I was like, support 1, support 2, support 1, support 2. This shit's about to reverse back up. Once I saw that, it was actually insane when because I caught this and then I was going to TP up here. And then I started seeing the pattern that was kind of playing out here for Bitcoin, right? And this was a really interesting position to take at this point. And again, it was, you know, you have to look for where all these taps kind of occur. So for me, I was just like, this was a no-brainer for me. This was a bid range. So I started bidding more actually in here. And then we got this massive leg, right? And actually my following boosted pretty big on this leg. And then we got this little pullback. A lot of people cried about this and said we were going to 30K. I mean, this was basically a megaphone pattern, right? That's all that was, expansion pattern. And it was a dropping expansion pattern that was looking to break out, right? Ideally. So expansions like this, and then you get your breakout. And now we're kind of just hovering the high here. And again, once again, you know, people are panicking off of this, and we just literally broke out of all-time high. I mean, I don't even know why you would panic. And you can see right there, there's all your retests. And then there's your breakout. A lot of people think that, you know, something like this may occur. And then that, I think that's not the likely play here because if this were to occur, it would just be too easy. It would be way too easy for everybody. And I don't think this market's going to make it easy on anyone. So, you know, my thoughts are is like, we'll likely sit up here and just do this crap for a little bit, maybe a megaphone, maybe just kind of do, you know, one crazy, you know, deviation and then a breakout. So we'll see. Like, I think we're heading in the direction of a bigger breakout. And I think like if you get that big breakout, you start, I don't want to tell you guys, like if you start getting towards like 150, 200K, look at your dollar, look at the rest of the market, evaluate it as a whole, right? Look at your stochastic, look at your RSI if you're overextended, and make a decisive choice, right? Make a decisive choice, because all you're going to hear this cycle is super cycle, yada, yada, yada. You're not going to hear that from me. I'm going to tell you guys when I think shit's going down, it's going down. But you can go ahead and cut it.
So funny because everybody wants to hear that they still have a chance. So they love like how bullish you are, but I cannot wait to hear when you're flipped.
Oh, people are gonna hate me, man. Like I lost followers last cycle.
Be nuts. And it's funny when I start fighting you, I gotta record myself. If I start saying, nah, he's crazy, I gotta be like, nah, he's not. He knows what he's talking about. I gotta people, make sure to do that.
New subs learn every cycle. They'll learn this cycle just like the ones that learned last cycle, right? I had a lot of people, like I had a ton of people say, man, I should have listened, but I had even more people tell me, I'm glad I listened.
Yeah.
And that's what feels good, is like when people actually, you know, they take that into account, they get out of the market with some wins, and they're able to come back in and scoop up more the next cycle going into it. And that's how you make your bag. You make your bags. You don't make them in bulls. You make them in bears. That's where you make your bag. So you're buying down, right? So
yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know. We've been running an hour. You want to keep going or?
it doesn't even feel like. So I'm saying it doesn't even feel like an hour. Now I'm about to leave. My friends are already like, "Where are you?" Um, it's up to you though. Obviously, you could keep running if you want, but no, I
We
love
can cut
these.
it there.
These are gonna be good nightly. I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah. So timeline for the market. I wouldn't look at it for timeline for ETH. If you're looking for the breakout, I think probably a couple months. If you're saying like when does it end, I think you got till end of the year. That's my timeline. Just so everybody knows. And I am buying risk. I'm buying some, non-risk, obviously, so on and so forth. But I mean, it could take days, could take a couple weeks, right? Ideally, but I mean, these are the two patterns for ETH, and we're gonna cut it here in a minute because profits is gonna take off. But one of these two are gonna play out. It's gonna be a retest of the 50, which will be likely this support range right here, right on the monthly time frame, or it'll be likely a retest of the low potentially. Ideally, I'd like to see a bounce at the 50 because that'll show strength. Whereas a breakdown of the low would be a bit of a, means it will not bearish, but it means we'll likely kind of just like lull for a bit probably before we get a big breakout, if that makes sense. It'll give you good entries essentially, but that's pretty much it. That's all I'd be expecting from it. Take advantage of dips, man. If you guys get more, take advantage of them. That's what I would say. You want to end it there, profits, as far as like give the outro, or
No, I think this was perfect. This is a great first one. It's kind of like a test run, but this is good now that we have all of our things linked up. But make sure you guys are following Will on Twitter
and profits.
Myself. We'll be live every night. We're here to win the fucking bull run, baby. That's the point. That's the point of all this. So thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. And stay tuned. Tag a friend. Bring a friend next time. Share the love. Share the wealth. Thank you, Will.
Thanks,
have a good night.
Appreciate it.